Walking house? Yeah, that's cool. Walking town? Now we're really onto something. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm super proud of this thing. It turned out way better than I ever expected, and I'm so glad to see that all of you enjoyed it, turned it into memes, posted them all over Instagram. That was interesting. That's never really happened to me before on YouTube, so that was a new experience. But I definitely think we can take it one step further by adding more, creating an army, or I guess town, of various different walking structures. This is going to be an interesting one. So the first thing that I've got to do is obviously I've got to expand out my little runway that I created here, because I mean, little known fact about the walking house is that it can be conquered by a single block. As soon as it crashes into anything, it stops. So we need to make sure that this is perfectly flat. And this is looking much better. So we now have a nice runway that is beautifully flowery and everything. Obviously all of these flowers are eventually going to get stomped by these walking houses and things, but for the time being they look good. Anyway, let's start work on building these things. Now, not all of the structures are going to be the same size as this one right here. What I like the thought of is a few of these massive ones that are kind of walking around with various different things on them, and then a few small ones kind of dotted around all of them, and all of them are going to walk together and hopefully not stick to one another. This is it's going to be such a massive challenge. This is going to be really difficult. 30 minutes of head scratching later, I think I have got myself set up with the first little walker. So this guy, four-legged, bit of a beast. I thought some of the little ones could be little two-legged ones. So this is going to be almost like a two-legged tiny house, probably 3x3, just sitting up on the top there. We need to make sure that it actually functions, which means that I've got to test it, and I'm too scared to do it because I've just realised I haven't backed it up. Backups are literally the most important things to do when you're working with large slime block machines, because if you test them and they travel off, you then have to rebuild it if you want it in the same spot, but more importantly, if they break, they all stick together. This one somehow hasn't broken. That is the first time I've ever made a walking slime block machine that hasn't broken on the first try. Look at this little guy. Oh, he's quite cute, isn't he? That is wicked, and our little house will go up there. Right, give me a second. That was a very loose definition of the word second. This has actually ended up taking me quite some time, but we are getting there. Now, one thing that I realized with this house right here is that we don't have a toilet, okay, and that's a big problem. So I've built a little portaloo. This is the little portaloo right here. It's a relatively small build, two-legged, and I've built up all of the structure that should push it. The only thing that I need to do is add in the thing that is going to power the piston, which actually shouldn't be too difficult, he says very loosely. Something like that could potentially do the trick. These walking houses end up being a lot more complicated than you would expect. Now, I was just about to test this thing, and then I noticed something that is glaringly obvious that somehow I didn't realise while building it. Yeah. We've got a bit of a lopsided house. That means I have to reconstruct the whole thing. Quite some time later, we are ready to go. It's the moment of truth. But that looks like a walking portaloo to me. Oh, that is fantastic. Alright, so we have got our second little walking house here. That has taken so long. If we're building up a whole town of like 10 houses, this is going to take me like 20-30 hours. From this point forth, the video actually has Minecraft sounds. I don't know what happened to my recording software there. We're about to find out two things. Number one is how good am I at the clone command? Better than I expected, but also the clone command is worse than I expected. Yep. Observers are fired. That is so frustrating. Essentially, if you clone something in Minecraft that has observers on the inside of it, when the blocks get cloned, the observers will actually fire. So these things will all shoot, and obviously that means that pistons extend that you don't want to extend, and yeah, it basically breaks the whole thing. So after rebuilding the entire thing block by block, it is now time to start work on the next build in this town here. And this is going to be essentially the storage area. So what I'm hoping to do is do something similar to what we had going on here, with the minecart chests and things, but instead of having one, I kind of want to have like a full storage system. And then also, this is going to be the first 3-legged flying machine that I've ever made. This might be one of those things that works better in my head. I'm not 100% certain just yet if these minecart rails are at all going to stay in their positions, but it will be interesting to see what happens here. Long story short, it totally didn't work. It broke entirely. But after a lot of fixing and head scratching... Oh, it's looking good. It's looking good. I have almost forgotten about those, but that is... That's a pretty good setup. Look at that. So we've got a moving storage system now, a little walking storage system. Obviously, it needs its front leg, which actually could be quite easy. The way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to have the redstone block out the front, and then amazingly, and this is purely by chance, you may notice that these two pistons are on the same level, which means that we could have a double length leg at the front and then these two little tiny legs out the back. That's going to look hilarious once it's done. I mean, just look at this thing. That is seriously cool. This might be one of my favourite looking walking machines I've ever constructed. With the chests up front. Okay, let me back up the world. And now we can give it a go. I'm kind of scared. Oh my word, this actually works. So it kind of hops along. It's a bit of a strange thing. So the front leg takes slightly shorter steps. But that is... Oh, no, come on now. This is really cool, isn't it? This is beyond cool. Okay, I actually feel like our town needs more than one of these. Because, you know, storage is incredibly important to have when you're a town. So we're going to have one here. Maybe one in a kind of supporting role just off the side of the mothership. Maybe we'll have one over here as well. I don't know. I kind of want hundreds of them. I absolutely love it. Thank goodness for backups. Oh, that wouldn't have felt good if I didn't have a backup. Please tell me my backup has been made properly. It has, and for once I've actually managed to clone something successfully and then reconstruct all of the things that broke. So now we actually have 2 storage systems here. But I'm thinking a lot of these things are standing relatively tall. What would be nice is a few bits out the front that are kind of closer to the ground. So I'm thinking we build almost like some insect style structures. Now these insect style structures are going to be based on the similar sort of system that we've had for our legs. So this circuit right here, but there's going to be 6 of them, and then the actual machine that is flying it is going to be going underneath the legs. So it's going to be very low slung, and it's going to look like the legs are actually coming over the top of the body and then arching down towards the floor. So it's going to end up looking slightly millipede-like, slightly ant-like, and should end up looking quite cool out the front. Now, could you please stop making noise in my video? Llamas make... Oh, alpacas, I apologise. I'm so sorry. But still, you make the most annoying noises in Minecraft. And I'm going to be honest, this is super insect-like. I mean, look, it's even got a little horn up at the front here. And if we activate this... it kind of jumps. It's almost like a little jumping bot. Oh, we've left some legs behind. How's that come about? Oh yeah, of course. Placing a regular piston where a sticky piston should have been. In flying machines, that is about 90% of your problems. Now, what I thought would be cool for this build here is I thought this could be like some... Well, the first one anyway is going to be a little garden. I think I'm going to build maybe 2 or 3 of these, all of them with various different structures on top of them. But I like the thought of this garden. I just don't know if it's going to work because I have slime blocks underneath these. I don't know how like the piston pushing order is going to affect things. I guess we give it a go after a very quick backup, which, because I'm really silly, instead of making a backup, I restored the old backup, which doesn't have any of the stuff that I've just constructed. So, after reconstructing all of that, let's give this thing a bit of a whirl, shall we? I've had better days. I think I'm going bald from head scratching here. But I've managed to come up with a solution again, so hopefully now... Oh, it moves. Oh, it totally moves. We've got a walking garden. A hopping garden, in fact. I love the way that this thing just runs across the landscape. I think that's hilarious. Oh, we've lost a foot. Oh, no, we haven't. I guess I just never installed a foot. Right. He's now going to acquire a new pair of... No, that's not how you do it. Amazingly, despite this leg crashing into the other leg, actually, it doesn't break it. That's the weirdest thing. I totally thought that would completely stop this thing, but this garden, it knows no bounds. Oh, now one thing that I have realized is that we might actually be able to improve this thing a tiny bit. So if we... Oh, by the way, I'm back over at the Portaloo. Something has been bugging me about the look of the Portaloo, and I think it's the lack of kind of structural elements, but I'm fairly certain that we can actually do something like that. And that already looks about 1,000,000 times better. Yeah, much happier with that. Anyway, I've started adding in the next front runner build, and can I just say, look how cool our little town is actually becoming. I'm almost considering having some flying ones out the back, kind of being like support teams, just flying along behind it. Anyway, up the front here, I need to think of what I actually want on top of this thing. We've got the garden, we've got a toilet, we've got storage systems, we've got a house. I'd love it if we could do some form of farm, but we could have hay bales and things. Hay bales isn't a bad idea, except let's face it, they kind of are, aren't they? They're not exactly exciting. So I thought I would start work on another slightly larger structure, and I've created this piston layout that I think is actually quite smart. I'm hoping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As well within the bounds of piston pushing. And we're pushing a really quite big area here. I mean, look at the size of this thing. It is, what, 7 blocks across and 4 blocks tall? That is a big build. With all of that being said, I don't actually know if it works just yet, so let's give it a whirl. And off we pop. Nah, totally broken. A very long period of head scratching later. Is this gonna do it? What about with this removed? Somehow, I don't know if I ever paid attention to that. I might have actually forgotten about those. Oh, that was good, except I left that block in place, which I think might have broken things, but also, it still seems to be a mess. I can't think of many things more frustrating in Minecraft than flying machines or slime block machines not working properly. It drives me up the wall. Come on, please work, okay? Just work. Oh, I thought we were onto something. What's happened to this bit now? So we've got the top bit working. All is well. But the back legs have stopped working. After going through many breakages and many false starts, I think we could be onto a winner now. Yes. Yes. We finally have a platform to build a house on. Blimey. This has taken... That has actually... I kid you not, I think that might have taken longer than this main dude here. The main guy. Whew. Nightmare. Anyway, now that we actually have a house on it, it is looking flat out. It is looking seriously cool. Probably one of my favourite buildings we've actually constructed in this little town area here, and I'm really glad that it makes up the forefront of this thing, because it's just... It makes the whole thing look awesome. It looks seriously cool. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build another garden type thing. Maybe I'll make use of the hay bales that I mentioned earlier on. So maybe we'll make a little farming module right here. And I think that'll be our town completed. And then we can send all of them off on a stroll at the same time. I'm terrified for that. Thankfully, after the nightmare that was this one, hopefully this one here should be simpler. But... oh, it doesn't look like I'm going to get a free lunch on this one, does it? Come on, I've made some changes, and... oh, wow, that's the first time that's actually worked out. Okay, so we've got minecart chests, so we've got a little bit of storage here. This is clearly like a little farming zone. Obviously, in an ideal world, I would have something like that going on, but... as soon as it moves, yeah, all of that is going to disappear and we're just going to have dirt. Not quite so exciting. Anyway, now time to get ourselves set up with the system that is going to activate all of these things at once. And to do that, we have this little array of command blocks that is literally just going to place a block, then remove it immediately, next to the pistons that need to be updated to trigger this thing. So, you know, earlier on in the video or throughout the video, you've seen me placing blocks next to the pistons to update them. We're basically just automating that process so it happens uniformly across all of the flying machines all at once, because otherwise they're all going to be out of sync and they're all going to crash into one another, which is a bit of a problem. Now, I have done so much extra tweaking and testing, and things have gone wrong, and I fixed them. They all crashed into one another. I fixed that. I've changed up the timings. It's been a long process, but I'm hoping that finally we should be good to activate this thing for the first time altogether. I'm going to check my backups again. 16 extra have been made, just in case. And with that extra layer of security, I think you might be just about ready to activate this thing for the first time. Are you ready? He certainly looks ready. Oh, there we go. The entire town is on the move. So we have got storage systems walking, we have got gardens walking, we've got a house up the front that is walking, no, don't walk there, you're about to be hit by an entire town. Yeah, you've made the right decision. He's straight out of there. Can you imagine that being hit by a town? That would be horrible. We've got the house, the original house up at the front. We've got our portaloo, which is cruising along there. We've got a garden or a little hay bale set up. So a little farming module off to the right there. And then we've got more storage over here, all traversing the landscape all at once. What a sight. What an absolutely ridiculous sight this is. Just a whole town, complete with multiple houses, gardens, places to go to the loo, storage, farms, sort of, the closest thing that you can get to a mobile farm, all walking along on the land, and soon to hit its first obstacle. So I think before everything crashes and burns, I think it's time to end. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this redstone video. It's been tons of fun to create. I put a lot of time into this thing, so I really do hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have, please press that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and filming channel stuff, you know what to do. Link is probably on the screen right now because I don't have an intro anymore, or outro. I was meant to say outro, which by me doing this kind of gives me an outro. This is, oh, it's a paradox. One.